Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello, people, and welcome to Footy JUDGEMO. I actually was contemplating doing the show. I actually didn't want to do the show, but listen, we have to speak about Chelsea. I read a couple of articles, of course. You guys know what is going on. Todd Boehly wants to take over. Clearlake and Iqbali, they want to take over. How does that affect the Chelsea Football Club, and what have these people done to Chelsea? Also, we read that the Clearlake are only looking at this as a 10-year investment. Basically, they don't care about the future as much as the 10-year investment. And Todd Boehly as well, looking at this as 20 years. What is going to happen? How are they going to look at this project? How are they going to look at the club? We're going to talk about this. Of course, I got here Dan and Ahmed, of course, to talk about it. Both are Chelsea fans. I'm lagging now. Am I good or still lagging?
You're good. You're all right now. You're all right.
Yeah, you're good now.
It was initially. Oh.
Yeah, I don't know why I was lagging, to be honest. And it's quick. But listen, there's a lot of drama at Chelsea, of course, as Soraida's saying in the chat. Guys, if you're watching this now, hit that like button. If you're watching this on the replay, like the video before you go on. Enjoy the show. And let's get cracking. I don't know why you guys are lagging for me. There's something that is going on with my connection, which was perfect before.
Okay.
I don't know why I can't hear anyone.
You're frozen, Mo.
Yeah. You got like a big delay. It's like I think it's a 50
Let me leave
delay.
and come back. You guys keep going.
Oh, cool.
All right. Okay. You want to start, bro?
But
yeah. Well, I just think if you look at Chelsea from obviously winning that Champions League back in 21, to now. Like, it's been an absolute roller coaster. And that's not on the pitch, by the way. Like, that's in the background. It's just been a mess. Add in the performances. I just think it's absolutely crazy. And I'll be honest with you. If I had my way, I wouldn't have either of them, to be honest with you. I don't think either side of the party of consortium has done enough. I just think it's been an absolute shambles as the way Chelsea's been handled and ran by whoever's been given more power at the time, whether it was Todd Boehly in a sporting director leadership role or whether it's Boehly, who now looks to have more of a hands-on approach. I just don't think either's done enough to warrant being given the respect by the fans to the level that they deserve as owners. I don't know where your
100%.
thoughts
I have
are
to
on
agree
that.
with you, bro. You know, again, like, you know, I feel like, you know, when you go online and you read some of the stuff that people have been speaking about, team this, team that, you know what I mean? You know, and everything like that. And I just think for me, bro, I feel like there's been a very much a lack of nuance in the sense that both these guys have failed. Like, let's be realistic. Both these guys have had massive failures at the club. You know, and I just think for me personally, bro, it's like, why is this even happening now? Why do you not even do this in the summer, for example? Because, like, I don't know if you read the Athletic article, they're trying to get this done by the end of November. Why was this not done in the summer then? Before the summer ended in June, why do you have your little beef then? Because now you've just brought more chaos, you know, on the football pitch, where, you know, you've got a new manager there right now with a bunch of new players. You know what I mean? We don't need this sort of thing right now, man. And, you know, it's just every year, man, you know, I'm just like, Chelsea's become a HBO show, bro. You know, I feel like since 2019, USA's in the Champions League. I feel like since the transfer ban, you know, only had Lampard,
Yeah, true.
when it really
You
started,
need
bro.
some highs
That's
and
like,
lows in there.
you know,
don't you?
that season 1, season 2 was the peak. Then, you know, afterwards you had the craziness afterwards.
Everyone's like, oh no, that Chelsea series has fallen off now. Like, it's not as good anymore. Like,
you know what I mean?
they
No,
throw in a
but-
bit of drama when it goes a bit stale. I hear you, by
Exactly.
the way. I think the only reason this, I don't know whether this news was being kept on the down low and on the quiet, and it's probably been going on in the background, unless the transfer window and not getting Osimhen's just like thrown it up into the mix, because maybe Boehly's side are a bit annoyed with how the window's gone, because he knows it probably weren't good enough to. He's probably thinking, this is my 4-year plan that I spoke about. I told all the fans, judge me in 4 years, like, or 4 windows down the line. Boehly's probably thinking, oh shit, they can judge me now, and it's not looking good, because I haven't put together a squad that is capable of winning stuff. Boehly, on the other hand, is a guy that is probably looking to live in a similar manner to Brighton, happy to just flip players and just live with the profit. But yeah, I just think bringing it up now at this time just shows absolutely, I mean, no respect to Maresca, by the way, as the coach.
100%,
The
bro. That's
last
what I'm
thing
saying.
that he already had a load of stuff starting off with Enzo and all that in the summer, yeah. Then he's had the drama on deadline day where he wanted a striker and we haven't got it for him. And we probably haven't done enough for him in terms of elite level players for a guy that probably wants a squad that's capable of winning or getting into the top 4. Because as much as they said, oh, top 4 is not really a priority, and no one said it to me, they haven't mentioned it because they expect it.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? If you go into a job, they're not going to say to you, oh, by the way, you need to, if you go and be, say you go and be an estate agent, yeah? They're not going to say, oh, by the way, make sure you sell some houses. They just expect you to sell some houses.
Exactly.
They don't expect him to not challenge. They expect him to challenge. And I don't think they're giving him the best tools to succeed right now, or the best environment. And that was before this. Now this is thrown up as well. Honestly, I think it came out because of the international break, though. I think the international break, all the news fell flat. No transfers, no like movement. There's nothing to report about happening in football in the league. England's dead at the moment. I think they just threw in this and thought, here we go, let's light
You
up.
not think that this might be a slight ploy by one of the sides to start, you know, trying to drum up fan support from one side or other, to like, if that makes sense? Because like for me, yeah, it initially came out from Bloomberg, if I'm not mistaken, right? Which is like the business.
Yeah, which is
report.
crazy
So,
for this.
which for me, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because like the fact that he leaked. Go ahead, man. It's all right.
No, I just wanted to say something. A couple of days ago, I actually was on the football terrace, and I said, it looks like at Chelsea, there are 2 roads that are happening at Chelsea. One of them, care about the winning, and one of them care about improving the team, and the other one is looking at it from a completely profit perspective. Like they want just have to profit. They're looking at the asset, they're looking at the investments. And that is crazy to me that a club have two personalities in the market, have two personalities about running what is going on. People can see this, right? And the clash was going to happen sooner or later. It was just going to happen sooner
But
or
the
later.
thing is, Mo,
And by
you
the
know
way,
what-
I don't know who, but from reading from reading the articles, the Bloomberg article, from reading what was released, right? It looks like Iqbali and Clearlake are looking at this from a completely investment perspective. It's a whatever investment fund in America. All they care about is that what is the value of the club today? How do we increase the value? So when we sell our 65% in 8 years from now, we gain some money. And that is not how to run a football club. Normally, any club, even if you look at the Cronkies at Arsenal, right? Yes, they care about Champions League, but they aren't looking to sell the club. That's not their main thing. No, like they aren't running the club today to sell it in 5-6 years. The Glazers didn't. No one does this. Like that. Of course, the ownership of Manchester United aren't. Even FSG. But to be public, because I think it's even public that Clearlake are looking for a 10-year project. We're selling our shares at the end of the 10 years. So who cares if we win or lose, as long as the assets are there, as long as we improve the assets. And a lot of people come at me and say, Mo, but the winning brings money. It doesn't actually. There are way more other things. Like look at FSG with Liverpool. You can be in the Champions League, you can buy the superstars, you can do this, and it can increase the value of the club. Because the value of the club is not only about winning the league, it's about other aspects, selling shirts, filling the stadium, like making the global fan base buy your jerseys. That is how I'm seeing it. And I'm not saying that they are looking to get 10th, but they're looking to be in the Champions League. But also, in the same time, they're looking for the flip for profit players. Oh, we can buy this asset, that Guewi or whatever. Oh, yeah, his value is going to increase by 10 million. Okay, that's 10 million more. That's how I'm seeing it. And that's not how to run a football club.
I agree with that. I agree with what you're saying, but the thing is, if you read what Boehly wants as well, he's basically saying, "I don't mind you doing that too." He doesn't. He's not. He's agreeing with that perspective to an extent too. Like, of course, his difference is only maybe bringing in experienced players, which is something that I've said before. The tweaking the system should actually be bringing in ready-made experienced players to complete the team, to actually make it challenge and win leagues. If that's what you're looking for, but I just think for me, I'm just gonna go back slightly to the point I was making about why this news has broken out now. Yeah, it's probably because either both sides are trying to raise enough money to basically buy out the other in the within the next 2 months. Because apparently by November there'll only be one ownership. Apparently, I don't know if you know that, Mo. That's the plan. Like by the end of November, we'll have one ownership at the football club. So I just think for me, again, if you're trying to be here, when Boehly made his initial deal with Iqbali, whatever, whenever they became the first consortium, what was the agreement between both sides?
We don't know. No one knows.
No. But the point I'm trying to make to you though, yeah, is that if your thing was if you knew, Boehly kind of must have known on some level when you lay your bed in with some sort of an investment fund that they're gonna eventually come calling for some money, right? He knows that too. He should have known that by then, and this is why I'm kind of worried in the sense that now he's trying to raise more money now to buy the club again. How do we not know, yeah, if these guys that he's bringing in a year or two's time, he's gonna have the same situation that he's having with Clearlake, for example, right? That we don't know that's it. We don't know if that's not going to be the case or not, if that makes sense. I don't know if you guys agree, but like that could be true again. 2 years time, new guys come in, then they disagree again. Bish bash bong, we're in the same situation.
I think what Boehly would be looking to do would be to be trusted by his investors and not have a consortium involved. I if I'm being honest with you, I think Boehly's probably decided that him and Clearlake aren't aligned. And Clearlake have probably decided the same thing. Both have different investors. Well, I think Boehly fronted up some of his money, his own money, but it must have come probably from somewhere, and now he's going to go to investors as well. I wouldn't be surprised if you start hearing Amanda Staveley's name being mentioned in this, by the way,
Wouldn't
because
surprise me, yeah.
I heard as soon as she left Newcastle, she was interested in being involved in another Premier League team with her links to Saudi. So Todd Boehly, as we know, has already got links to Saudi Arabia. So do Clearlake. They're both able to get the funds if they need to.
Yeah, but Dan, it's actually now what was said is that the Clearlake will actually block Todd Boehly from selling his shares to somebody because they have the majority of the say. They will block him from selling his
They
shares.
can't actually.
Yeah, but Todd
They
is
can.
by the way,
They can. They actually can. Okay, so hold on. So in the article, what it says is that they have the upper hand. They have the final say. They can choose to buy his sales for a cheaper money. So
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, Mo. They can only buy between each other. So for people who are asking, because I know people have been saying Chelsea can't be sold to like outside parties, I think until like 2032, if I'm not mistaken, right? So they can only sell within each other, essentially. They can only sell within each other. Just wanted to make that clear for people.
That's it.
Am I lagging out? Am I
buy
keep
the percentage?
freezing?
To
You're
buy
okay now. You're okay now.
buy the other percentage, they're going to have to raise funds. So outsiders will have to back them with money. And,
Exactly, yes.
they'll obviously want a return. That's why they're doing it. But ultimately, I think it's going to depend on whether or not Clearlake are happy to take a small amount of profit with what Todd Boehly offers and be willing to sell their share. To be honest, I think they're keen on sticking around for a long time because they've seen how they can just quickly make a few million here and there with the player trading that Eghbali seems to be absolutely obsessed with.
Well, how does that affect the team, though? How does that affect the team? We're looking at
massively, Mo, because if Eghbali's obsessed with player trading, he'll spend his money on bringing in players that will never play for the team, or if they do, it'll be 5 to 10 games, and he'll move them on and gain 2 million on it.
The thing is, he definitely seems like he's I don't know how else to say this, but like, you know, it's gonna sound a bit of a joke. He sounds like an FM guy. You know what I mean? Someone that's clearly, you know, trying to either build like a club up here and trying to sell these guys here, find these gems, and then trying to sell these guys for profit. Honestly, that's what he reminds me of a lot of the time. But I think for me, he needs to also
be a businessman with absolute zero interest in his club performing well.
Yeah, I just think for me, you know, he needs to. I just think they've got 60%. I don't feel like these guys are willing to let it go. That's just the way I see it, and I don't know about you, Dan, but like I just don't see the way this happens unless, you know, Boehly can give them a certain amount of money that, you know, changes stuff for them. I just don't see it.
Yeah, that's the thing. The only way they leave is if they're happy with the amount of profit Boehly gives them by them selling their shares fully to him. And it might not be as much as what they think and have told their investors they're going to make out of Chelsea, and then that's where it becomes an issue.
Exactly. So it's like it's I can't lie. The situation is very sticky, to be honest. If we're being honest, and like I think for me also the question becomes: do they even need to listen to any bid Boehly makes, because he's got 15%, right, of the shares, if I'm not mistaken, right now. They can just say, you only got 15%, mate. We don't even need to listen to you. You got 65%. We'll just keep it pushing. You can keep rambling on all you want, and we'll just keep the control of the club. Unless there's something in there that Boehly has that I don't know, but like they can really just say to Boehly, we reject any offer you make. We'll just keep it pushing. You can just be a 15% investor.
I think the only thing that might sort of sway things in Boehly's favour is if the Stamford Bridge crowd are vocal on who they would rather have in control. If neither side feel welcome, that they may think that like this is a toxic situation to be in, and
that's
it
why
might ultimately mean harm for our global sort of image rather than anything else.
That's why, Dan, I was saying to you, bro, yeah, this news coming out now, yeah, and them trying to do this thing must mean either Boehly or Eghbali or both are trying to garner some level of support from the fans, if that makes sense. I don't know about you.
They have to be, and I don't know,
exactly.
Mo. You're obviously the neutral in this. Have you seen a side? Oh, he's gone.
Oh, he's restarting his route quickly. He's restarting.
Have you seen a side that looks like it's favoured at the moment?
It's looking like Boehly's favoured at the moment.
Right.
I'll be honest. If you look online on Twitter, I said yesterday, you know, yeah, if Boehly can't do anything, right, and it's just all loud and everything like that, I think for continuity's sake, at least for the team, you're probably gonna have to say Eghbali only for continuity in the short term, because right now we've got a team he's been doing his thing for the last year. On some level, we have to see this one through, right? Because if Boehly does come in, yeah, apparently there's more upheaval coming. So it's like we've already had chaos for at least since 2021. We're gonna have even more chaos of player transfers coming in. So it's like, how much more chaos can the club afford? You know what I mean? Realistically speaking, that's the one thing I will say. You know what I mean? Like if I was to have a negative to Boehly, it's like, how much more can we see of upheaval before we start? The club starts. It affects the club even more than it's affecting it as of right now.
Yeah, look, I hear you on that. I think I've probably seen more support for Boehly as well, and I know people will
Yeah.
go back to how it started with Boehly when he was sort of saying about incorrect formations and sort of all-star games. But I think Boehly has an interest in the sporting side of things as well. I've listened to quite a few interviews with him now, and actually was doing it before the news broke, and strangely enough it did, so it's probably sort of swayed me in my thinking. But I'd probably rather see Boehly take the reins, learn from his mistakes that he's clearly already made. I think he seems really clued up in how I've heard him speak about the sports that he probably previously had an interest in. Football is a brand new game to him, and he is obviously learning, which is risky, but I think he has an interest in being a part of that. I like the way that he turned up to the games in Chelsea stuff. I like the way that he was about growing Chelsea. He obviously would have wanted like the Jordan deal to be in place. He wants to grow this club on and off the pitch.
I think the
Whereas
commercial side, I have to agree with him. I agree. I think from the commercial side of stuff, I am a big fan of Boehly. I just think from the sporting stuff, we know he was one of the guys that brought in with Stanley and Stewart, guys that I'm pretty sure I've cooked for quite a bit of time. You probably cooked them for quite a bit of time. So it becomes a thing of like, can we bring in the right directors to actually see through the vision that's necessary for us to win? And obviously, the summer window that he started with, I always give him the caveat, of course, like obviously Marina left, Czech left, so I have to give him some level of like caveat to that. I just hope if he is the one that's going to come in, that he's able to bring in direct directors to actually see the vision through. That's what it comes down to.
I think he'd have to, and that's the only thing, isn't it? I think it would feel like we're starting again. But if we're being honest, in the time that this sort of consortium ownership's been a part of Chelsea, I feel like we've started again twice anyway. We started the first time with Boehly, maybe three. And then the way we've kind of been with Barley, I feel like the Poch reign was probably a blend of the two. And then this one seems to be pretty much Clearlake and Feliciano and Barley sort of taking the reins on this one and having their input with the sporting directors. Look, the sporting directors have definitely taken a lot of slack from me. They could be exceptional at their job at what they're being asked to do, because if Barley's asking them to sort of recruit players that he can flip for profit, they're doing an unbelievable job of finding them. So they might just be exceptionally good at their job. I think
they're good scouts. Yeah,
we as fans probably look at it and say, "Oh, they're not bringing in enough quality." But if the direction from above is to say, "Don't bring in quality," they're not going to go and scout players with quality for the team. So maybe they're being harshly judged by us as fans. But now all this news has come out, it probably clears it up a bit more that Todd Boehly wants one thing and Clearlake Capital quite clearly want something completely different. And ultimately, I think that Whit, Stanley and Stewart are taking their instructions from Barley and the Clearlake side, at least for the last 18 months. I think that's been evidently clear. So yeah, but it's a mess that the club doesn't need. And I think that's what the fans will be annoyed with most, is that this is a mess that no one needed. And it kind of just shows to me that neither of these guys are really qualified to be running a Premier League football club.
If we're being realistic, what you're saying is true. Like, the reality is, bro, I'm just tired about talking about Chelsea because it feels like there's every single day I'm getting more news about it. But I think on the second level, it's just, they've made so many wrong decisions on either side. It's just like, a third option would be great, but right now it's not possible to get a third option because of that 10-year clause. So
yeah, it worries me a little bit, as obviously who would be sort of coming in again, because
that's what I was saying. Yeah,
it's hypothetical, right? But obviously, if it went back on the market in such a short space of time, I mean, it would obviously be admitting that everyone that's been involved in the short space of time hasn't done well enough. But that adds even more instability to the club by being put back on the market. But ultimately, I think we can agree on that they haven't done a good enough job. So look, people aren't sure, and people are going to be confused because it's just not been clear. And I don't think what's come out from the club has been vocal enough in terms of informing the fans in terms of which direction we want to go. Probably because they've been fighting each other.
That's something I've said. Whenever I've said, I've had people have said to me, "Why have you not asked what the club wants?" I've always been like, "Listen, they've got Chelsea, they've got the Chelsea YouTube channel, they've got the Fifth Stand app. If I'm not mistaken. All they need to do, short interview, they can do PR it all they want. What do you want for the football club? Just put it in simple terms. I don't need you to be doing this in the match day book, whatever it's called. I forget. I've literally just lost the name of it right now. I need to see you say it face to face to me. I don't want to be hearing it from business and Forbes, things that you've been doing around the stuff. That's all it is.
And
bro.
we've seen Jim Ratcliffe do that at Manchester United. We've seen him come out and say, like, this is my idea, this is my game plan, this is what I want. The only time we've seen Boehly speak, right, really, and Egbali I've never heard, but Boehly, we've seen him speak when he's at business business, what are they called?
Business forums, business
exactly, right.
Events.
When he sits there and does like a live interview / podcast on the stage for like 20 minutes. And he briefly speaks. And it was only the end of last season. He was praising Pochettino and the direction of the team and the turnaround. And then within 2 months of that interview, it's a completely different state of affairs at Chelsea in terms of who our manager is and the recruitment that we've seen. So it's just a mess. And I think that the output from the club in terms of vocalizing an idea or a plan has just been ridiculous. And I think that's led to the confusion for every single fan. It's torn the fan base, if anything, because some people think they can see the plan, even though they don't know it. And some people can't see it at all. And they want to hear it from the owners.
Yeah, I was before I go on, guys, we got over 200 people here. So hit the like button, guys. Let's get to 200 likes. The like button is underneath the live chat. Hit that like button, helps the video a lot. Yours truly, Highness, always up. Mo, you support America. If you do, take the L. Oh, Canada. I actually don't support the United States of America. Never did, and I don't think I will. So I don't. I actually didn't know that they played Canada at all. I don't follow the men's national team for United States at all. Actually, don't know anything about them. So who called this mess last season? Olodomus. Yeah, Olo, to be honest, on the show said that Chelsea, because of the ownership and the different directions, it will be a mess. And it is. But you were asking me something then about how I'm seeing it from outside. On the pitch, it looks okay. And it looked okay last season in some games. But it is not only about the structure now, it is about the direction of the team. Because at the current moment, who's making a decision? I'm just going to give an example for the people in the chat, guys. Who's making the decision? Should we give Osimhen high wages or no? Can you imagine if Todd Boehly and his team, they want to sign Osimhen, they think he's the missing piece, for example, in January, but Clearlake say, no, actually, we don't think that's the right investment for us for the future. Okay, what happens then? Imagine if the other way around.
I think that's already happened. I think that happened on deadline day.
Imagine that happens for even a young prospect in Argentina or Brazil or Spain or Italy. And then Clearlake say, we see this as an investment. Top Boehly said, this guy is not going to add anything to my team. He's just going to put pressure on Maresca to train him. But I don't want Maresca. These are all hypotheticals that I think they can happen under the current model of ownership, where one day I'm hearing whoever Chelsea fans saying, by the way, Todd Boehly is making decisions. And then 3 weeks later, oh, no, Todd Boehly is not involved. It's Iqbali. And then 3 weeks later, oh, by the way, no, they have a transfer team that does all the negotiations, but the directions are different. It doesn't look like.
What I can say for sure, definitely, we know at least. I think maybe the other ones I'm not too sure about, but for this summer, we've known that it's only been Iqbali and the directors that have been making the decisions. Boehly's not been involved in anything at all. So it's just been Iqbali himself that's been making all these decisions right now.
I think you're right as well. I think you mentioned it earlier. You said that about the investors, they'll be making phone calls, sort of saying like, we've put a lot of money into this. And we were starting to sort of look, you said to everyone to judge you after 4 windows. And we were sort of expecting to see something by now. But Chelsea have just drawn to Crystal Palace, failed to pay the wages for like a world superstar in Osimhen, Well, these guys don't have any interest in football, but they know where Chelsea are in the table. They know Chelsea aren't in the big European conversations. They're thinking, what on earth is going on here with our money that we've given to you? You're buying players no one knows of. Everything I'm hearing on the grapevine isn't that good about Chelsea at the moment. What's going on with my money? And that is what the question is going to be in Eghbali and in Todd Boehly's ears from both their investment groups, because Todd Boehly obviously has probably taken capital out of his company. I think it's like Eldridge, which is also an investment fund.
Exactly.
They're both going to be using other people's money, and they're going to be like, the questions coming from above them, they're not going to be good, because either way you look at it, at least Eghbali can turn around and say, look, I am generating some profit here, but we're just waiting for the results to click on the pitch. Todd Boehly will be going, we wanted world superstars, and now it's out of my hands. Like, we can't sign them. So unless you give me some more money and I buy out the club, I can't have that control anymore. So
and also to add, like with Boehly's been very big on, like as you said before, the commercial side of things, the stadium like thing. Like obviously that's not been happening as of yet. We've not had no clarity on that. Even was it called the branding for Chelsea as well. So anything that he comes back to these other guys towards in his quarterly, was it called meetings, is going to be like, what are we saying for Chelsea commercially? What are we saying about the stadium? When's that going to happen? Everything like that. So again, he probably doesn't have that many answers to give, at least from that directive.
And I just wanted to touch on a point that Dan mentioned. The problem is, I think the biggest thing about Chelsea is their fan base at the current moment. Like, that's the biggest asset. If Chelsea lose their fan base and lose the faith, what is Chelsea, right? It's not just some players. It is turning now for Chelsea to, it's either you're blindly seeing and agreeing with what's going on, or you aren't seeing it. Rarely you see a fan that is in the middle. Rarely you see a fan now that is saying, I'm going to look at the positives, I'm going to look at the negatives. It's either I am with this project, look at our players, we have amazing footballers, we're going to get top forward, challenging for the league in 2-3 years, or you're looking at the project and say, what is going on? What are you doing? What's the aim here? What's the target here? Like, why are you buying 5-6 youngsters? What are we going to do with all these players? What is going to happen? And that is the fault, of course, of the ownership. They literally polarize the fan base. It's either you are called, oh, Dan, after the shoot, you're deluded. Dan doesn't even, bro, Dan has been called, he doesn't even support Chelsea. On this channel, Dan has been called, you don't support Chelsea. You're not proper Chelsea, whatever that is, right? You don't support the club. You don't like the club. You don't want the club to win. You only want to see the negatives. On the other hand, I have Ziad, for example, who the majority of the time, I'm not saying all the time, of course, he is with the club's decisions about signing players. Like, even, I'm going to give you an example, right? Ziad is my friend, right? My younger brother, right? I love him. But after the Osimhen, I'm going to tell you guys how Ziad approached it. His first word on the Al-Ahwa show, big up HUSAM, Don HUSAM, of course, and the show that we did there, he said it's Osimhen's loss. That's how he saw the situation. Nothing else. And I tried to say that both fumbled the bag. Chelsea could have had their guy, and Osimhen as well was greedy and everything. But no, it is Osimhen's loss. We have Joao Felix. We have this. But for a neutral, I'm looking at the situation. I'm saying, you wanted this guy for a whole summer, right? You negotiated with him and his club, and you waited until the last 2 hours. And watch what Obi Mikel said in his podcast. He said, everything was in place. We just ran out of time. How is that even a good way of running a football club? Like, running out of time to make a deal, to book a medical and do a deal? That's horrific. And for everyone that is looking at that particular deal, and I'm mentioning that particular deal, is we believe from footballing aspect, Osimhen was the last piece. Osimhen was the piece. And we're looking at the Crystal Palace, we're looking at Jackson. Okay, you get Osimhen, you're probably a little bit, couple of steps ahead of everyone else in the table in terms of top 4. That's money. right? That's commercial value. That's global fan base. Champions League. You play in the Conference League. No one's watching Chelsea in the Conference League. No one. By the way, even at the latter, people think in the Conference League, Chelsea will. No, TV money for the Conference League is much less than the Champions League. Even in the stadium and even the broadcasting, everything is just much less than the Champions League. It isn't obvious. In the Champions League, you reach semi-final. Inter made 75 million euros from reaching the final in the Champions League. How much do you think, if Chelsea won the Conference League, how much do you think it will make? How much?
15.
It's not even comparable.
Probably
Oh,
10
it's
million.
15 million, 5
Probably
million,
10
yeah.
million. Stuff like that. It's not even that much. I'll be real.
But that's the whole point. I'm looking at the Osimhen deal. Oh, that's kind of horrific. How this deal didn't fall through, and the guy's at Galatasaray now or something. You know what I mean? But that is how we're looking. That is how it's affecting the football. That is how it's affecting the football. And I'm gonna say one more thing, right? Dan said that I would have rather kept Sterling from a footballing perspective than Modric, right? But the decision was made based on the money. It wasn't based on football. I think Sterling is better. I don't like both, but I think Modric doesn't offer anything. Zilch, zero. He's just taking space. But from an asset point of view, okay, they let Sterling go because he makes more money. That is, you're not looking at the football here. You're just looking at the asset. That's the reality of this, right? And that is how it's affecting the football. And I promise you, the players are thinking about this.
Oh, the players will now. As soon as, maybe they weren't, but as soon as the news breaks publicly, fans start making noise. But no doubt about it, this weekend, there will be some fans there. They'll be booing. They'll be having signs up saying Clearlake out.
It's a home game, by
Boehly
the way, this
booed.
weekend at 8 p.m.
No, it's not actually. So probably
Hey, the next home
probably-
game, I think it's going to be in either this next. I think it's in 2 weeks. Then
Yeah,
the
I
next
don't
home
even
game,
think it's Europe. So it'll be probably the next home game. They've probably done it at quite a smart time, actually, because of not
That's
having a
what I'm
home game. If there'd been a home game, obviously we've got. Do you know what? We've got Bournemouth as well, so we're going to have like 1,200 fans there because no one can travel to Bournemouth.
We
If
don't
you
have a
don't
home
know,
game, by the way.
Bourne-
Bro. We don't have a home game until the what's it called? The third round of the Carabao Cup on the
Against
25th of
Barrow.
September. Yeah, against
Yeah.
Barrow. So
So
that's
they have done it at a smart time because
Mhm.
obviously they're not going to get any noise from the ground. The fans will be obviously kept away, and it's only people with a voice on social media that will be able to make their voices heard. Clearlake out. So yeah, I don't know, to be honest with you. It's just a shambles. They're obviously smart. They know why they're doing it at this time. Maybe they'll be focused on the small amount of Chelsea fans at Bournemouth and the small amount of fans we'll see traveling away. I'm not sure when our European journey gets underway, but
October.
either way,
That's October.
yeah, see, it's quite a way off, isn't it? And hopefully by then there'll be a bit more progress in this. But it's just something that no one at Chelsea needs. As if it wasn't already a mess, to add this in is just
And
crazy.
I thought
You know,
I thought Chelsea are in a better place than Manchester United in terms of the football.
bro, I thought this. I said this before, bro. This, if you had this issue, why not just have this done in June? You know, you had the whole summer ahead of you. Could have got your deals done in June. There could have been one guy just remaining, one last man standing, and then you could have had your own transfer window ahead, and none of this stuff would be happening while the game is happening. Now,
Maybe I'm naive by thinking that the transfer windows had an impact on this, but I can see that Boehly would have given them time to recruit correctly in the transfer window. And if it didn't happen, then he'd ask questions. And that's the only thing I could think, is that he gave them an opportunity. The Osimhen deal, imagine he's like telling all his investors, don't worry, we're going to sign the best striker in world
But can I
football."
ask you a question though, Dan? Yeah, listen, yeah. Why is if you're Boehly, you want these deals done? Why are you not getting involved then? Why are you not trying to, approach this? Yeah, you're the chairman currently, apparently, of the club, which was meant to give you some level of power. Why are you not coming in to actually, help these deals get smoothed over then? If that's the case.
Oh, I mean, we don't know, do we? Is the last
that's why
he's taking a step back and expects to be out of the chairman role by 2027. So
see, that's what I'm saying. So if that's the case here, and he's looking at the transfer window, I'm like, why are you looking at transfer window when you've taken a step back? Surely you should be then try to take the impetus, the approach to be able to get something done. So you know what I mean? That's the thing. Like, yes, he's a minority shareholder. I know someone that said that in the chat, but he's also the chairman. He's a chairman of the football club, which
Yep.
gives some level of power now in regards to the transfer stuff. It's not that's why I'm actually mentioning the chairmanship thing specifically for him. So that's all it is, man. It just at the end of the day, bro, it's just worse and worse, if that makes sense. Yeah, and I just think for me personally, when it comes down to it, we'll see what happens. But if we could get someone better than these two guys, that would have been the ideal scenario.
Going to the football with the Osimhen deal and looking at in January, they're going to get Osimhen. That is what it looks. Guys, there's 300 people here. Let's get the likes up to 200, guys. You haven't hit that like button. We aren't even on 100 likes yet. In terms of the football, looking at the Crystal Palace game and looking at the couple of games that are coming, you don't play at home for Bournemouth and stuff like this. You think Chelsea now are well equipped to actually go out on the pitch and win these games away from home against the Bournemouth and stuff like this? So if I'm looking at your attack, I think yes. I'm still having questions over the defense sometimes. It's getting better. Right? But I think, and that takes it back to the ownership. I think wins will actually stabilize the club a little bit. Some wins will stabilize the club. It'll get the fans behind the team, right? And the coach. And I think that is what Chelsea need. If you lose games, it's not going to be a good look, to be honest, in the next couple of months, right? But do you guys think that Chelsea are equipped now to win these games now? I know that you looked at the Crystal Palace game, but there's the Wolves game. What do you guys think about that?
I think from an attacking perspective, as I said, in the short term, we've got to be outscoring opponents. That's what it's going to come down to. I think what we need to let the defense essentially like gel, and hopefully they can come good between the Hafana and Cole partnership. But I think against the Bournemouth now, I think we can create against the low block a bit more better now under Maresca, I would say, at the very least. So again, we'll see what happens, but I think we can beat some of these teams. It's just about, again, can we create more chances to alleviate the fact that we're not what's the word I'm looking for, clinical enough in front of goal, because we don't have a striker that's clinical enough.
Yeah, look, I'm still torn with our squad. I think that the start of the season is exactly how I see this season going, and I've said that. I think it's going to be up and down and a bit of a roller coaster. Some games are going to look exceptional, some games aren't. For the amount of time that this ownership have had, I don't think we should still be at this stage. I think that's the first mistake. Definitely is. The fact that we're sitting here again and it's still a roller coaster is just crazy. The fact we're sitting here saying give it time, because we're still waiting for players to come to the level that they should be at for Chelsea to compete is a failure for me. However you dress it up, I just don't think it's acceptable that this is now the third season. They've had their 4-window plan and the squad hasn't been assembled correctly. Whether you like it or not, it's a good squad. There's a lot of depth to it, but there's still not a team that I can see, a cohesive team unit sort of emerging in the last 3 years. And I also just don't see a squad that has got enough quality to challenge for the biggest titles that we thought we might see Chelsea doing by this point. And I don't think it was that long ago that they said they would try and time it correctly so that we were able to be one, 100-point team, and two, be there challenging when Pep Guardiola leaves Man City. So I don't think we're seeing that. And I don't think we're going to see that for a while. And we talk about how good our attack looks, but ultimately that second 45 minutes against Wolves was the best it's looked. And we literally exposed their biggest weakness in Aït-Nouri and repeated the goal 3 times. And Noni Madueke was very clinical. In his following 2 games, he's been quite wasteful against Servette and Crystal Palace. And I just think that we showed against Crystal Palace that Jackson was able to score in an open net, but wasn't able to take chances that maybe a better striker scores. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Osimhen definitely scores them, because he doesn't. And I just saw on international duty that he doesn't score those types of chances all the time. So we're not blessed going forward in terms of being able to outscore every single team we're going to come up against. We're not Manchester City. We're definitely not on that level going forwards. But I'd hope that we can outscore the majority. But defensively, yeah, I worry. And actually, the tactics I've seen so far in place from Maresca, they're not filling me with confidence. I'm not going to sit here and slate him, but they're definitely not filling me with confidence. I saw too many gaps in that performance against Crystal Palace that I just didn't understand why they were there. And I literally mean in how and the positions that the team was occupying on the pitch. There was drastic spaces for where our number 6 or 8 should have been occupied in the middle. And someone said to me it looked like a donut, and then they're not wrong. It was a really strange sort of attempt at winning that game of football, I thought, from Maresca. So maybe he's just sort of waiting for it to click with his players, and I'm not sold that we're going to be able to go away to Bournemouth and definitely pick up a win.
I don't think you
have been
go away
tough...
to Bournemouth. And people think they're going to play a low block. No, they won't.
No, they didn't play a low block against us at the end of last season. They got the same manager.
This is going to be like a Crystal Palace game away from home. Like a Crystal Palace game. Because Bournemouth under Iraola are very good.
I'd expect them to have more of the ball than Palace did, Mo, to be honest with you.
Like I like Iraola. I think he's a very, very good coach.
I just think is it also, I think a lot of lack of control in the field right now. You know, hopefully Lavia is back, and it's a Lavia Caicedo pivot. I think for me, that I think will just provide a bit more control, at least in the midfield wise, and it stops at least the defense having to do as much work. You know, of course, because of like how worried we already are about our defense at the end of the day. But I do think, you know, again, I think in terms of the attack, the clinicalness thing is gonna hurt us. You know, as we saw just Crystal Palace and other stuff. It's just about the other guys stepping up, really. That's what it's just gonna come down to. And you got to hope those guys can step up for you when it matters.
Nkunku's situation is very strange to me, to be honest. I don't know what happened to the guy. He was the bright star, the guy that is coming from the Bundesliga. Yes, he was injured last season. Within one game after his pre-season, within one game in the season, he just phased out. Like he's not even, like it doesn't look like he's in the plan, especially when Neto being there. And I don't understand.
I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea what's going on, bro. I have no idea.
There's definitely ability there. I don't think his ability's disappeared. When I see him playing, he still looks like a really good player. I think the issue is one we're seeing with a couple of other players that are departing Chelsea, and Sterling and Chilwell, is that Maresca just doesn't see where this player fits into his system tactically. And my worry is that we'll be letting players go that are of a good enough level to be part of Chelsea and be good enough to make an impact on the team, but miss out because they don't fit a system of a manager that isn't proven yet. And that's my biggest concern here, because if we let
Nkunku doesn't fit him, but Sancho does.
I don't think he
I think
knows.
Nkunku fits the system.
I don't know where.
What happened to him? So then,
that's the thing. I just don't know why he's not playing him. I don't know if it's because he wants Palmer to play more centrally and Madueke on the right. Is that because of that you can't find a space for him, or is it because
Madueke's form has definitely impacted Nkunku in terms of his starts of the season?
Yeah, I think that's what I think it might just be, because he probably likes the way Palmer's playing essentially, and he's seen Madueke play really well. It's like Nkunku can't find a space for you right now.
The only thing I have to say, Mo, is that when Nkunku came on the other day, he was played at right wing. Cole Palmer was a 10, I think Felix was a 10, and maybe Mudryk. Like, it was all over the place. It was just very confusing.
Caicedo,
you were just throwing everything at
and Cole Palmer was dropping into the 6 to try and pick up the ball, whether that was on instruction or frustration.
Enzo
was playing like in the
also at that point, Caicedo was out playing as a right back, I think, after Gusto got injured. It was just an absolute mess. And you speak about a double pivot. We didn't even have an axis in there against Palace. There wasn't one person in there. Like, there wasn't anyone doing that role for the majority of the second half, for definite. And that's what I'm confused about. If that's Maresca's ideology of how he wants his team to play, then I need to start seeing us having that ideology having a positive effect on the game, because I just didn't see it against Palace. Because I'll sit here and tell you right now that I would have even expected Pochettino to have definitely got a win against that Palace side, because in what I saw at the end of the season, Pochettino would have had enough in his locker to have got a win there against that Glasner side. Look, defensively, Glasner set them up well in the second half once he got to grips with what Maresca was doing, but Palace weren't at it. Palace going forward was shambolic. Their one goal from Eze was good, but actually Chelsea on their set piece were woefully set up. The way we were stretched out across the box was an issue from the get-go on that free kick, and we never recovered it well. We never stood up. We never stepped out. It was an issue. And obviously Sanchez as well, I don't think did well enough on that goal from Eze, because Eze had one place to put that ball, and he put it there, and Sanchez wasn't anywhere near it. So
Like,
I don't think our squad is. I don't think our squad is.
I want
good
to
enough.
ask a question now. I want to ask, why isn't Nkunku playing as a striker? If Jackson isn't the reason why I'm asking this is that it doesn't look like Jackson's playing as a striker. He's still playing false nine. Jackson drops deep, gets involved, does everything that Nkunku was doing before.
I think the only reason
why is Jackson being preferred?
Because he's got
Based
2
on
goals
what?
in 3.
maybe 2 goals in 3, and I also think he played him as a false nine in preseason, right? If I'm not mistaken, against Manchester City, and maybe he thought it didn't really work out in that game quite well. I don't think I want to try that right now. That might be the only other thing I can think of right now, like because he tried it in preseason.
But
Go ahead, bro.
the problem is, it might be small margins that you will miss on top 4, which is the same for the league title. I believe the Premier League has turned into no second chances. Look at Spurs. Once they dropped out of the top 4 and Aston Villa was there, it was done. Aston Villa never left from that top 4. My point about it, that Jackson one time playing up top, if he's not clinical, well, I like Jackson, right? But if he's not clinical and you have someone who's proven in Nkunku, give it a shot. Because I believe, by the way, I believe some of the chances that get to Jackson, Nkunku puts them away based on ability.
100%.
I've seen them
Lethal finisher.
like, yeah, he and right foot and left foot. So if the chances are from the right, from the left, you believe Nkunku might deliver more. But this is gonna sound mad. The way I'm looking at it is that for some reason Jackson is viewed as a bigger asset than Nkunku for the club. It has to work with Jackson. It cannot be a failure. So he has to be pushed. He has to. I like his game. Dropping deep, linking up the play, turning defenders and midfielders. I like it. But at the end, there is Palmer, Felix, Neto. There's plenty of people that can do that work for you as a forward. You just need to put the ball in the back of the net. So maybe Nkunku is a better finisher. So why is Jackson starting every game? And I promise you, against Bournemouth, Jackson will start. It won't be Nkunku. It will be Jackson again.
Do you know what do you know where I think Nkunku's perfect position is in this team right now? If you set up how we did against Palace, the role that Enzo Fernandes occupied, where he was this hybrid 8/10 and definitely wasn't occupying this role in the 6, Nkunku in that area is far more effective than Enzo Fernandes would ever be. And I genuinely think that is... Huh?
It's too offensive.
Enzo didn't track back, Mo. Enzo was woeful out of possession.
Enzo was not tracking back.
Didn't do anything. Led the attacking press, by the way, Enzo Fernandes is nowhere near as mobile as Nkunku. Nkunku
I just don't understand.
As long as someone is occupying the 6, which we had an issue with, if Caicedo or Lavia occupy that role, I genuinely think you could get away with. Nkunku's played, by the way, I had a look. He has played as an 8. Some people would refer to it as like an 8.5 at Leipzig. And I genuinely think in the Dewsbury Hall role that we've seen him be deployed in pre-season under Maresca, Nkunku could definitely do that job. Where if you go and look purely on the position that Enzo Fernandes was picking up in that game against Crystal Palace, Nkunku could do a job there. Don't tell me where Enzo plays, where he should play, because Caicedo should play as a centre midfielder and he played as a 4th. He played as a centre-back and a 4th defender pretty much in possession that whole game. And then he moved out to right back when Gusto went off injured. Look at where Gusto was picking up positions on the pitch. He was barely at right back at all in that game. Don't tell me where those players have their positions on video games. Tell me where Maresca was playing them and where they occupied space on the pitch. And you will see that Nkunku in that area is very effective. Very effective. Because Enzo Fernandes had a poor game.
I think Enzo Fernandes is going to be a problem for this team.
I just don't understand where Enzo Fernandes is playing for because this is the same position he kind of played under Poch, bro. Under Poch, he's playing the same position, and it wasn't really working, to be honest. The same as well under Maresca. It's like,
but Maresca watched all the footage and thought that this was the
exactly. It's like what's happening in training? What's happening in training, bro? What's happening in training? Like what have you seen in training to be able to make him play this position all the time? Like I don't get it, bro. I just don't get it, man. That's what it just comes down to for me. Like, if he's not helping the system, bro, bench him. If you think he's not good enough to work the system, bench him. I said that before, bro. club.
I think if Enzo Fernandez gets benched, his career is over at Chelsea. He's that character. I believe if Enzo Fernandez isn't starter for Chelsea, his career is over.
He picks up
I-
the phone to his agent and he asks for a move.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what
I
happens.
actually believe that. I believe that is the kind of, he won't fight for position.
I
He
agree.
won't be the guy fighting for a position. He would be, get me out of here. I'm not even getting paid that much. You know what I mean? I'm not even
Yeah,
getting paid the 200K. Yes, I have a long contract, but these guys are going to. The problem with Enzo Fernandez is, tactically speaking, I'm not going to hear us talk about why he moves and stuff like this, is that people think that Enzo Fernandez can play as a deep line playmaker. That only works for a team that has a Van Dijk, that has a Nesta, that has a world-class defender that as a DM, you don't need to cover. And also
Yeah.
it works if you have 2 8s, right? That will cover the ground around. And I'm going to explain to the people that maybe the people that didn't watch before, back in the days when Pirlo used to be the tip of the triangle, the inverted triangle, next to him was Gattuso
At
and
Juventus, you
Ambrosini.
mean?
And no. At Juventus was Arturo Vidal and Marchisio.
Yeah.
At Milan, right? It was Ambrosini and Gattuso. You have to work very hard for your DM that is not mobile. Imagine Enzo Fernandez and just people that keep saying he will dictate the play. That's not how football works, by the way, because you get transitions against you, you lose the ball, and stuff like this. Imagine a midfield of Enzo Fernandez, the deep line playmaker, and Palmer is part of that midfield.
And then the thing,
That's
the issue,
awful. Defensively,
Exactly.
that's horrific.
exactly. And I think the issue for me, is that even if I was to say, okay, Enzo the deep line playmaker, I've got Caicedo on one side. The other guy that's probably meant to be there is currently for me at Strasbourg in Santos, because he's the only one that can like run around, mark the space, and knows how to play that position. So it's like we don't even have the bodies to even do
And
that.
if you play, Ahmed, if you play Lavia there, that is
So-
3 players that three players, each one of them want the ball to start the attack.
Exactly.
Each one of them. Each one of them is like, they said, I want to dictate the game. You cannot have 2 Pirlos on the pitch. You can't.
Exactly.
Caicedo asks for the ball all the time. Lavia asks for the ball all the time. And physically, by the way, and decision making, they're way faster than Enzo Fernandez. I believe that Enzo Fernandez is second late in the decision making. When he picks the pass, it looks good. Like he has the ability to pass the ball, but you're a second late. Always. You're physically weaker than everyone. I think Chelsea made a problem putting him as a captain.
Yeah.
That was that was definitely for what happened with the Argentinian national team. They wanted to respond to the people by making him vice captain. They shouldn't have to. Imagine if the vice captain is not even playing. Like, what is happening?
Our main captain's not been playing. Our vice captain barely
Yes.
played last season in Chilwell.
Our
Like,
main
it's
captain.
actually not an unbelievable situation for Chelsea because it's that crazy at the moment. But
Big up, listen, Chilwell and
I
Reece
don't know
James
what you
barely
think.
play. Yeah.
By the way, on this, but I at the moment think that the Enzo Fernandez transfer will go down as one of the worst transfers in Premier League history and definitely Chelsea history because the money spent, the level of performance that we're getting, and just the whole situation around Enzo in the summer and obviously now being made vice. I think it's gone down for me already as probably one of the worst transfers we've ever seen because the money spent and the level of expectation that he came with. We all genuinely thought this was the heir to Fabregas's throne at Chelsea, and he's got no way near it. And I know people are saying, oh, it's what we've been saying for months. Chelsea fans have been saying it for months, that this guy, look, I'll sit there in the stadium. I'm telling you right now.
Not true. Not true. A
I
lot
don't
of
know
Chelsea
who,
fans
but
said, well,
look,
who did? I can name names. They come on my channel. I name Don.
you can name him if you
Yeah,
want,
I
Mo,
can
but
name names, bro. I can
the
name
fans
names.
I speak to on a basis who are there watching the game have been calling out Enzo Fernandez, saying like, the level of performance isn't good enough for the money
The only one
spent.
that changed his opinion a little bit is Shez. Shez is trying to say he's finally seeing the light with Enzo. But Ziad hasn't. Like, and by the way, it's a reflection of a lot of Chelsea fans. I'm not saying Ziad or Don, because I actually watched some of the shows, and some Chelsea fans still think that Enzo Fernandez might be the answer to dictate games. He's the answer. No,
I genuinely watch Fernandes and see a guy that struggles to put enough power on his passes if they're covering more than like 25 yards. I feel like he picks the wrong type of pass in situations when it's just not needed. The amount of times I've seen him pass with the outside of his foot when it's a risky pass and he needs to make sure the ball gets there. There's moment you can go back and watch his individual highlights from all games this season that I've seen him playing. And there's been so many moments where I really don't think the only moments where he looked good was, I think it was against Wolves, where his press was actually pretty good considering what I've seen from Enzo Fernandes. But other than that, there's a lot of question marks.
When I watched the Crystal Palace game, it really made me realize just like how bad physically he is actually, because like whenever he tried to come for a tackle, would be too like he would be too short to come into the tackle, right? So the player just literally just brushing him off. Physically, they just outbully him for the vast majority of the time, and like he's not able to run as fast enough yet to even get to his man, which Caicedo kind of has the benefit of at the end of the day, considering that
he's not as strong as he's not half as strong as Caicedo, for example.
Exactly.
Like Caicedo's not the quickest, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
Caicedo
but he has that.
is strong.
Yeah. So
I think
like
that's
you know,
the issue though, isn't it?
that's
Is
the
that
issue.
like
when it comes to EPL, you need to have some level of like physicality in it. Like you can't otherwise, yeah.
It's
they're
either
just
you
gonna
can be
bully
very
you.
quick, it's either you can
Yeah.
be quick or you're
Yeah.
physical.
Exactly. You have to. And then and like for me, because he has neither, yeah, it's just like you don't have guys around him to even support him in the team. He's cooked. So like it's
Let
just
me
like
let me see
okay,
what Kingsley. So Kingsley here is saying if Enzo, it's a very, very interesting comment, Kingsley, very interesting comment. If Enzo had a Matic type of DM next to him, he'll be okay. You guys agree?
nah, I don't think Matic
No.
ever had the pace to support Enzo Fernandes, really,
Definitely.
to be honest with you.
maybe
I think-
Ramirez actually. You know what? I think
Yeah,
Christian
you're looking
Ramirez-
at you need a Kante or someone like that in there
Yeah.
alongside it.
Yeah.
And I
If you
genuinely think Caicedo could have been that player last year, but I think we all saw, hear me out on this, but we all saw Conor Gallagher be the right type of player that Caicedo needed alongside him last year. Conor Gallagher was in there to do Caicedo's dog work, and he did it. And Caicedo looked like a far better player. And Enzo was removed from the team because he went out for surgery. Chelsea put 5 wins in a row together and moved us up the table to get European football. And as
I
much
actually
as people
think
don't
it's,
like Conor Gallagher, he was the right type of profile eventually for Pochettino that solved the problem between Enzo Fernandes, Caicedo, and the midfield problem. Because someone had to do their dog work.
I slightly
Jules
actually think it's
Brejo.
Kukurea. I actually think it's Kukurea. Kukurea was the one, in my personal opinion, that actually changed that midfield.
Yeah,
for us,
true. Actually, the inversion was really good. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was actually, I think, for me, the Kukurea inversion that actually.
You
really
don't like him, Mo, do you?
no, I don't.
Do you not think that
I
the
rate
role
Kukurea,
he
by the way.
occupied
Again,
was the
I don't
right
even rate
role?
Kukurea, but Kukurea.
I actually don't think Kukurea. I think actually Kukurea is the lowest level player at Chelsea Football Club from the people that start.
Dang. Hey, listen,
You,
I get
you
Kukurea,
answer
but
you
Kukurea
answer me
takes-
this. You answer me this then. You go to the stadium.
Hmm.
With all due respect to everyone, I played football. I can tell when a player doesn't want the ball all the time, doesn't want the responsibility, gets rid of the ball as quickly as they can because they know their ability is not there, right? I think actually Kukurea, number one, offensively, he's not great. He's not that
I
good.
agree.
His first touch is not good. His passing ability is not there. It's not. Malagusto's better. Chilwell, by the way, is better going forward. Chilwell is better passing, better crosser. I think Kukurea, you guys think inverting this, then that. That's not like anyone can do that job by inverting and playing this. Kukurea is not even good on the ball. He's not. He and by the way, Kukurea acts like the tough guy pitch without actually being the tough guy. Ever. You guys get my point here with a football player, it's not good. You act like you're a tough player, but you aren't a tough player because physically, I'm not a big guy. I'm a small guy. You know what I mean? Like I'm not. I don't go to the pitch and act like the toughest guy on the pitch, right? It's not me. There are more physical players than myself. He acts like he's the tough guy, and his touch is not good. Colwell is better, in my opinion. So I don't see what is the benefit from paying Kukurea and get rid of Chilwell. I don't know why. Because he won
I
the
think the
Euros.
thing with
I'm seeing
Chilwell,
it
I
week
think
in,
the-
week out.
So I think the thing with Chilwell, and I think the
I'm
reality
lagging
is,
again, I
yeah,
know.
the ACL injury plus the Achilles injury back to back, yeah, they've made him essentially a shadow of his former self. Like, if we're being realistic, yeah, whenever I've seen Chilwell, Going forward, he can still do something going forward. I won't like take that away from Chilwell. Going forward, he can still give you something. He can still probably put in a good cross. Still got the shot on him to some level, right? The problem is though now he can't track back now. Like, you know, he's lost something because of those injuries. He can't track back. And the thing is, yeah, unless you got to have someone there for him to track back wise, yeah, then it's not going to work for you. So that's what it just comes down to for Chilwell. That's why for me, I've said, if you, I hear the shouts when they say move on Chilwell necessarily, because it's like, if he's not going to fit the system, he's kind of a shadow of his former self. I'm not really sure he can give me that output that maybe, you know, I would want from him, from him right now. I don't know about you, Dan, but that's what I generally feel about Chilwell. At least,
yeah, I think Chilwell's found himself in a really difficult place because I think the injuries have definitely put a huge question mark over the player that he is anymore. Hence why there was just no interest in him in the window.
Exactly.
No one wanted to take the risk on him because they don't know how many games they're going to get and they don't know what type of player. I'll sit here and tell you right now, more clubs would be interested in signing Cucurella than they would be signing Ben Chilwell. For an absolute certain. Cucurella had a really good Euros. Let's not forget that. He had a really good end to the season. You're completely right, by the way. Look, maybe the tactic itself helped Chelsea more so than Cucurella as a specific player.
Exactly.
But Cucurella was asked to do a job in that inverted role, and he did do a really good job. He definitely helped. I think Mo's right. I don't think Cucurella absolutely can control a game coming in at left back there. It's not like Philip Lahm inverting or Joshua Kimmich or players like that are unbelievably good enough to play right back and in midfield. But Cucurella allowed Pochettino to change up the system a little bit. That meant that we won games at the end of the season. It meant that it allowed players like Casado to not worry so much on that defensive side of the game, get on the ball and start making things happen. It kind of released the pressure off of Conor Gallagher in terms of going forward last year when, you know, before that inversion happened, Conor Gallagher would play as a 10 and there was just way too much expectation on him to deliver as a 10. It kind of reduced that. It allowed the team to flow a lot better. And we saw results. Whether you like Conor Gallagher, whether you like Cucurella, ultimately that change in tactic did work. But yeah, I hear what Mo's saying. I don't think Cucurella is the most blessed footballer to grace the pitch, especially in players that we've seen invert. Like, he's nowhere near as good as what João Cancelo did for Manchester City, but he did fix an issue last year in that role.
He's not even as good as, he's not even a good footballer like Zinchenko. Zinchenko has problems defensively.
I think it's tough to say. He come out of La Masia and has played as a left winger at Getafe, so he's not woeful. But he's not. Do you know what it is for me with Cucurella? Is that in a game that gets a little bit erratic, he gets even more erratic and he becomes a bit of a vulnerability for Chelsea. In a game that's calm, I think that he actually provides a good level of energy.
You know what it is, bro. You know what it is, Mo. He lacks composure. He lacks composure. That's
he lacks ability, bro. That's why.
No, he actually lacks
ability,
composure.
He
lacks composure, bro. I've said this before. In certain games, when he starts getting cooked, bro, he starts losing it, bro. He actually starts losing it. Like you can see it, bro. Even in Crystal Palace, bro. Once they scored that goal, bro, he started getting scared. He actually started getting scared to go close to his man.
He doesn't trust his own ability. That guy saying Enzo needs to be at the base of a 4-3-3 with 2 8s, like Mo said. That's how it is used in Argentina with the ball and McAllister.
Like, not in the Premier League.
I don't think it's gonna work. I get what your point. I said that many times before, and I want to hear you guys take before I go to Kingsley's super chat. The problem with that statement is that Enzo is not amazing for Chelsea to build the team around him. Like, he's not a Pirlo or a Fabregas for Chelsea to build everyone around him to work to get the best out of him. You're not amazing.
Like,
you aren't
hear me out on this. How much is there much of a discussion to be had between like a James Ward-Prowse or a Calvin Phillips and what we've seen from Enzo Fernandes?
Oh dear.
Come on, tell me, like, because I genuinely think I've seen James Ward-Prowse and Calvin Phillips have better Premier League seasons than what I've seen from Enzo Fernandes yet in a Chelsea shirt.
They had better seasons. I can't.
Come on, I'm not being outrageous here. I just haven't seen enough from Enzo Fernandes on a consistent basis. In moments, I've seen unbelievable ability, but I haven't seen it consistently over a Premier League season yet. Yeah, this is third season.
Why do people keep out that, Ahmed? Let me ask you the question, Ahmed. Yeah. Why do people keep saying Enzo's ability is fantastic? Where have you seen it?
There's
Like,
moments.
okay, but a lot of people had moments in football.
You could make the argument.
Bro, James Ward-Prowse had phenomenal moments in the history of the Premier League over the past five seasons, right? A lot, by the way, a lot. You can go and check. It's not only set pieces, by the way. He had fantastic through passes and crosses. He had a big moment. That doesn't make me sit here and say James Ward-Prowse is an amazing footballer. Well, you've seen some passes from Enzo Fernandes, which is the one he played for Madueke, for example. Yeah, it's a good pass. It's not a Pirlo type pass or an Iniesta type dribbling or a Xavi type, you know what I mean? It's not even like an Odegaard type of a pass, you know what I mean? Not a Kevin De Bruyne. He isn't, like, I have not seen Enzo Fernandes play one game where I can say, oh, he's world class. This guy
Liverpool first game of the season last year was
yes,
exceptional.
he was good.
He ran the game.
Yeah, that was really great game. Yeah,
I remember that game. It was good. The 2-2 game. It was phenomenal. Right? It was a phenomenal game from him. But that is one game.
Aston Villa FA Cup last year. He scored a free kick and had a really solid game.
Yeah.
It was actually one of the first games that we saw him drop in alongside Caicedo in a pivot, and he occupied like the left-hand side of that midfield, and he had a really good game.
So is that how we analyze players?
I judge it on what I see over a period of time.
No, but you said, why did we say we've seen quality in moments? That's we're giving you games where we've seen quality in moments, though, Mo, if that makes sense, bro.
No, guys, there's no
ultimately, yeah. I think, and people will hate me for saying this, but I even think that Conor Gallagher had a better season as a season last year than Enzo Fernandes. Enzo Fernandes had two or three performances.
I don't think that's
I don't think that's. I don't think you actually.
That's not even a wild. That's not even a wild take. I think that's common sense.
There you go. But people don't like me.
Conor Gallagher had his best season like ever. That's not even me. Like even.
That's not even a wild. That's not even a take.
He's had Conor Gallagher had like his. Listen, Conor Gallagher had his best season ever last season. That's why he's.
You watch the comments. Literally, watch the comments.
No, but this is not. Listen, there's no way you can. The reason why the comments can't even deny it is because literally Pochettino based his system around Gallagher. There's no way Enzo can be better than a guy who this whole system is based upon. That's point blank.
Conor Gallagher, I don't want to make this a Conor Gallagher show, but even Conor Gallagher at Crystal Palace was at a better level than what Enzo Fernandes has got to in a Chelsea shirt over a consistent period of time. That loan move to Palace under Vieira ultimately got him an England call up. I think Enzo Fernandes looked great at the World Cup. I think he still looks good for Argentina. I just think Mo is bang on with the fact that those leagues allow him to have a little bit of time on the ball. Koulibaly said, in the Premier League, you have to think whilst you're acting. In Serie A, you get to think, then you act. And that's exactly the problem that I think Enzo Fernandes has got right now, is that he's having to think whilst he's on the ball, and his physical attributes don't allow him to navigate pressure all that well because he's just not that mobile. You know, like someone like Caicedo or Lavia, they're a little bit more mobile. And if they're pressed, their press resistance is there because of their physical attributes in the way that they can move. They're a little bit more agile. They're quicker in their step. Enzo Fernandes, everyone told me, oh, don't worry, it's just because he's got a hernia. Hernia's fixed now, and there's no difference. No difference. The guy runs like he's treading water.
I can't lie to you, man.
My problem with Enzo, you know what? My problem, sorry, Ahmed. You know what problem with Enzo is that all of this talk is only about the physical. I actually think the ability is not only about your physicality. Enzo's ability is not going to be shown in the Premier League at all. Because actually, I don't think he excels in anything above like... Okay, so let me ask you guys something. Who's better in passing, Enzo Fernandes or James Ward-Prowse? Honest. Honest answer.
It's on a consistent basis, I'll probably have to say James Ward-Prowse.
Okay, so what else does Enzo Fernandes? What else Enzo Fernandes does better than James Ward-Prowse? Is he quicker?
In the Premier League or for Argentina and international football?
No, forget that. We see Enzo at Chelsea, right?
Right.
What does he excel at? If you say passes, there are way more. By the way, there are many more players in the Premier League that can pass better.
Yeah, I don't know in a Chelsea shirt. I really don't know. He's not going to made himself the set piece guy that he takes every set piece. He doesn't run games of football on a regular basis. He's got the ability to. We've seen it, but probably he's got the ability to do that when one, that Liverpool team probably weren't at full fitness. Their midfield had just been ripped apart and was being put back together for the season ahead. So ultimately, we've seen him control games in a couple of situations. Other than that, we've not seen him score goals. We saw him score a goal for Argentina at the World Cup that was phenomenal, but we haven't seen that enough in the Chelsea shirt. We've not seen him be incisive with his passes, and they just get intercepted. So I don't know if
the issue for me with Chelsea again. I know what you're saying, man, about like he needs these guys around him. The thing is, like, you know, if you've paid that much money for a certain player, bro, you've got to put the guys around him to make it work. Otherwise, bro, you're just setting the guy up for failure. And you know, if these guys do believe in their asset talk, you're losing like money on this guy every season that he's playing the EPL.
Do you think Lavia, Caicedo, and Enzo Fernandes could ever work as a midfield three?
No. I think Lavia and Caicedo can, but I don't think Lavia, Enzo, but not Lavia, Enzo, and Caicedo.
Right.
So I think they actually complement because, like we saw,
they're both superior. Kingsley saying people are forgetting. People are forgetting Fabregas and Matic midfield. I'm just going to say
made a really good point on this.
Fabregas is a way superior player to Enzo Fernandes. Fabregas didn't need that extra second to make a decision. Fabregas knew where the next pass is happening. The movement was there. He started the Arsenal. Remember, he started the Arsenal, went to Barcelona, and then came to Chelsea. It's a completely different animal with the Fabregas that played for Chelsea, had abundance of experience that bought him that extra second, actually. So he's 2 seconds ahead of everyone already.
We've all seen that meme on Twitter when they race the cones.
Yeah,
everyone's seen that, and he beats Willian and Pedro, and it's Fabregas that wins it because he's so quick of thought. Like you said, Mo, he's got a second ahead of everyone rather than Enzo, who's a second behind, and then physically can't make up for it as well.
Yeah, Fabregas was completely different.
And less, Fabregas
compare Enzo Fernandes and Fabregas. It's crazy. Like, Fabregas. Also, that team. Also, remember that team had wild dogs at the back that will eat people alive. That will cover even Matic at that time. They didn't have Colwell. With all due respect to Colwell and Fofana, Chelsea at that time had wild defenders. It wasn't easy to get past these guys.
And do you know what? People say that, but like, if a team got through Fabregas and Matic, like they then come up again, like you said, like even David Luiz could step into midfield.
John Terry was there.
John Terry was more than capable of getting on the ball if he needed to, stepping up, and then Harry Cahill would cover him.
Cahill kind of still there. Yes, he was there. Still there.
They had unbelievable play. You can't have a player. And like we said as well, the comparison is just ridiculous. The only reason the comparison's been drawn to is because of they're meant to play a similar role. Even though for the last 2 seasons, I think we've seen Enzo Fernandes probably playing this Fabregas role, or we could probably count it on our hands because Pochettino played him out of position loads. And the last player to play him in his position was probably like Graham Potter or Frank Lampard. Yep. And ultimately, that's the season we probably last saw Enzo Fernandes look at an okay level, and we expected him to kind of get better. He's arguably finished that season under Potter and Lampard and then declined.
And also, there is one more thing. People say he should play there. I've seen Enzo play 6, 8, 10, double pivot, single,
left wing. Poch put him out left wing.
I have not seen
the left wing thing. I still can't believe you have seen that guy left wing.
Bro, Lavia in the game he played looked better than Enzo's whole career at Chelsea, with all due respect.
Yeah, he did. That's true though. That's not a lie, is it? Lavia.
But that's why I said we need Lavia. Lavia literally showed it point blank.
Because I believe Chelsea have very good midfield. Lavia, Caicedo, Cole Palmer looks good. Lavia, Caicedo, Nkunku look good. Like Lavia, Caicedo, by the way, even Lavia, Caicedo, Dewsbury Hall, if you play Palmer up top, it looks okay. You play Enzo there, he demands the ball a lot, slows down the game a lot, and now you don't have the moments that you get. For me, I don't see him excelling at Chelsea with the current formation at all. There's no player there to dictate games that much with the current squad. He will need the team to be built around him. That is not gonna happen. We know that it's not gonna happen. The team is built around Cole Palmer to get the best output from Cole Palmer. He's the superior player. It's not Enzo Fernandes. And we'll see how it goes. But listen, people, let's get to 200 likes, guys, before we go. Hit that like button underneath the chat. Before we go, Ahmed's channel, The Bridge, is in the description. Dan's channel is in the description as well. Anyone got something coming up? I know it's a dead international break. I'm bored to death. It is absolutely horrible. This is one of the worst international breaks I've had in my life.
Oh, listen, 4 days left, man. 4 days left, and you're fine. But you know what I will say is that I do have like a show probably coming up. I'm trying to get like a financial expert, one of my guys that works in the city, to kind of explain like how they can buy shares and stuff like that for Chelsea. So hopefully he can come on today. If not, it will just be something regular that I have planned, just as a backup, just in case.
Dan, anything in the international break was boring as hell.
I find it so boring, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like the way it's been with England and obviously the new manager and stuff just hasn't excited me at all after what happened in the summer. Do you know what? I might put out a video about the Civil War. I feel like it's relevant, so maybe I'll throw up a live. Tune in.
Yeah,
but yeah, we all know it's dead. Come on, man. We don't need to deny it. Like, do
It
you know
is
what?
very
Chelsea,
dead.
I have to thank Chelsea because it's given everyone a lot of conversation throughout the summer with the transfers, throughout international breaks, with politics and shares and financials.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Non-stop.
Chelsea, the gift that keeps on giving, man. You know what I mean? What can I say?
Yes.
Man?
All right, people. We'll see you guys soon. Enjoy the games tonight if you're gonna watch them. I'm not. And we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah.
Ta-ra.
Cheers, Mo.